The language we use to describe music and musical concepts in Western English-speaking countries is awful. This is a thought I was having to myself while I was on the toilet, thinking about an arrangement I wanted to do of a song that would take it from one time signature to another in the arrangement. And I was thinking about how this original song might be in 3/4, but I kind of hear it more in 6/4. I think it's got phrases that would last 2 measures of 3/4, and it would make more sense in writing to make it 6/4. The way I want to arrange it would make it 6/8. And I paused and I thought to myself, how inane does that sound? How do you begin to explain the difference between 6/4 and 6/8 time signature to someone who has no fundamental understanding of this terminology? What does that mean? You listening to this right now, do you know anything about like Western music terminology? Do you know what these time signatures mean and why they're different? Because the worst part about it is that it's all subjective anyway, because on some level, 6/4 and 6/8 can be the same thing anyway. I can write a song in 6/4, change it to 6/8 after I've written it, have all of the lengths of every note, and it'll be the same song. I didn't change the tempo, I didn't change the pitch of anything, I didn't change the number of notes, it's the same song. But 6/4 and 6/8, the way that we use them linguistically, are shorthand for musical feels that we don't have any other language to describe here. Those are the terms that we use. And those kinds of songs do feel different in an objective, evaluatable way. Evaluable? I don't know what kind of word you use there. And just the more I thought about this, the more frustrated I got. It's really emblematic of the way that music education in Western English-speaking countries, I'm speaking from a US perspective, but it's also intertwined because the US takes all of its music history and music education from European English-speaking and adjacent countries in their musical history. It's such an inherited tradition. It matters so much to us. The point I'm making is that it's really inaccessible, the way that we teach music, because you don't need to have all this knowledge about music notation and the terminology that we use for it that's standardized in the US. You don't need any of that to make music, to experience music, to play music, but you need it to be able to discuss music, lest you make your own language, which a lot of musicians do, which is great. Or a lot of musicians end up on such a wavelength with each other that they just express things musically, like by playing instruments or other forms of expression to other musicians, and they just get it. Like, it doesn't even take specific outlining of terms. It doesn't take like an expression of verbal intent for what you're trying to do with the music to get something across. That's how most musicians in the US have been, too. Most successful musicians, they don't have formal education for music. They just played music, and they learned as they went. I guess that's actually kind of a messy evaluation, because a lot of guitarists will have some guitar education, or a lot of guitar education. But a lot of pianists will have varying levels of piano education depending on what field they're going into. There is jazz piano education, but most jazz pianists pick it up by rote, pick it up by imitation, pick it up by feel, pick it up by listening and trying to replicate or interpret, rather than by sitting down with a jazz book and thinking, okay, so this is the kind of chord that I play for jazz. It tells me what keys to hit, what pitches those keys are, that kind of thing. It's different across disciplines. But it's frustrating that the education side of it is inaccessible in a way that it is, not just for the usual reasons of education in North America being inaccessible for money reasons, or for lack of accessibility for people who are disabled for any reason in any way. Those kinds of things. It's inaccessible in that it just is not intuitive, and it doesn't make a lot of sense unless you really sit down and meet with it on its own terms. Just music terminology in the West feels so grandfathered in at this point. I don't know, that's just something that was really bugging me for some reason.